Hi everyone, it's Tonya Gibbs from Psycho Moms, and I want to do a step-by-step process video today using Teresa Collins's Memorabilia line. I picked out this paper because of the chalkboard background and the filigree in the bottom and the banners across the top. We're going to add to those banners. And then here are some other products that we're going to use. I've pulled out of my stash. I have this happy birthday banner, and then I have the grosgrain ribbon and some die cuts for my silhouette and a Tim Holtz film strip. I also have the studio calico wood veneers that I don't end up using, and then I have these 3D stickers that are from the collection, the sequins from the collection. I'm going to use the gold, and then the buttons from the collection. This is a die cut from the collection. I don't end up using it, but wanted you to see that the die cuts are colored on one side and black and white on the other. And then some more studio calico. These are the hearts and arrows and the chevrons and the stars. And then I also have the photo corners from the Teresa Collins collection, and then the 6x6 paper pad. And I also bought this in the 12x12 pad because when I find one I really like, I usually end up buying both. The brads and then the journal pages, which I don't end up using those, and then the stamps. So, and then this is a Surface Z permanent ink from Color Box. It's dolphin color. And then this is the washi tape from the collection. And then I have various Amy Tangerine and my date stamp. So to get started, I decided to build on that flag that's at the top and use my nephew's name, Gage, in the banner at the top. But the font that I used in the background, I just pulled up in Photoshop on a chalkboard kind of background and made this, you know, his name. And it didn't stand out against all that sea of black, so I decided to use the ribbon. I just cut a fishtail, and then I cinched the edges with a lighter to keep it from fraying, and then just sewed it together at the top, and I also cinched the top so it wouldn't fray. So I'm going to put that to the side, pull out my paper. I need to cut off that branding bar that's at the bottom, and just use a straight edge. Now, while I do this, I want to give you a tip. If you really like to do three-dimensional layouts and you find that they don't fit into your page protectors, I've had some people ask me about this. All you have to do is when you go to trim your paper down before you decorate it, just cut a little bit off the edges and on either side, and that will make it small enough to accommodate for the extra bulk in the page protector. So in this case, I would probably trim it off the right side and the bottom. Anyway, let's get our banner in place, and I'm just going to use some pop dots to elevate it a little bit, give it a little more dimension. And I played with it going around in front of the other banners, but I found that it was just too much over there, and I really wanted his name to stand out, so I decided to come from the other direction so that the name just kind of pops that way. Now, I don't show this in my process video, but I actually went back with some scraps and filled in some more flags between his name. You can see it in the pictures at the end of the video, but I don't think I recorded that process. After I got to looking at it, I was like, it just needed a little something up there, because the banners that are up there are kind of really close together, and these were not, and it just, I don't know, it wasn't sitting right in my mind, so I just used some scraps to fill in those gaps. And I'm just going to let that string hang for now, but I think I eventually end up pulling it back towards the back and trimming it down a little bit. So now what I want to do is I'm going to start fidgeting with my layers. And I pulled out a couple of sheets that match from the paper collection in the 6x6. And I've left the branding strip at the top. This is the piece that you rip out usually because it has a really nice pattern on it. And I love the yellows and the blues in these papers because it's going to help my layout take on a more masculine feel. And I'm covering up the recorded that's down in the bottom right hand corner because that really just doesn't fit with my theme. My theme's more of a happy birthday, and I really wanted it to stand out a little more. And I wanted to be able to see that title that's at the bottom of that sheet of paper on the 6x6 in the black. There's a lot of words that are going to be in this layout, but that says quality memories and good times because that's what we had that day. This was my nephew's first birthday party. Now what I've done is I don't want to waste any of my paper, and I really want to introduce some of that yellow that's on the reverse side. So I've marked where the paper is going to be covered up with the black, and I'm going to trim that down. And I'm not being too particular about keeping it straight, as you can tell. So I'm just going to trim it off, and then I can flip it around and use the yellow side as a border somewhere else, later on. You'll see me use that. This way I'm benefiting from both sides of the paper. I think that's one of the reasons I really like to make these layouts with all these different layers, is because, it's okay if things don't line up, and you can put multiple things, like it just doesn't matter how rough it is. It doesn't matter, how much of it you have. It's a great way to use up your scraps and things. Because these layers, when you take small insignificant pieces and you put them together, they just really make a big impact. Okay, so now I have some hymnal pages that I'm trimming off the music part of the hymnal pages. And since she's singing at a birthday party, happy birthday, I thought that the music would kind of help to add a little something extra to the paper. And I'm just, like I said, just cutting off the little musical part of the paper. I'm going to put the rest of that to the side. I'll use these scraps on a mixed media layout later. And then I'm going to put those up at the top as a border across the top. And I love how the frame hides the centerpiece, so it just looks like one continual staff of music. And there's my picture of my nephew, and he's got cake all over his thumb, and he's sucking his thumb. How cute. Now, one tip is, if you notice that he's looking to the right on this photo, so I want to make sure that that photo ends up on the left side, so that it looks like he's looking towards the center of the layout and not off the page. That's a big graphic design tip. You don't want your photos looking off the page. And then the other picture, he has cake all over his hands and he's eating them. So the one on the left, he's opening his presents. And then I found this film strip. Again, this was cut from scraps, and it's going to help to hide my seam of where my two layers at the bottom come together. It's going to help to hide that seam and kind of clean up that edge a little bit. And I'm probably going to come back and color it in a little bit later. So kind of really happy with my placement. And this is one of those banners that came from the 3D stickers. And what I've done is I've taken the top piece that says best off, and I've rotated it, and now I'm kind of fidgeting with some of these other pieces to see where I want to layer them in. Since that love is good, it has like a circular shape to it. I want to nest that best circle like right in the middle of that. And then I have the envelope, but I didn't like what was said on the envelope, so I decided to put this piece on top of it, and that's just a layer from something I fussy cut from the paper, and then another one of those patterns. So that's going to kind of come over to this side. I like the gold sparkle on there. It just kind of helps to brighten up this dark layout a little bit. And then that happy birthday flag, I'm still trying to find placement for that. Rule of thumb is I just keep fidgeting until I like it, and it doesn't actually get to live there until I start gluing it down. This has also been fussy cut from the pattern of the paper. It's like a geotag with a 1 in it. Since this is his first birthday, I thought it would be cute. And again, I'm just kind of playing around with some layers to see where I want to put everything. I'm not really happy with that music paper at the bottom, so I'm probably going to end up getting rid of it. It was just too much. I wanted to leave the chalkboard look at the bottom, so I've gone back now. I've pulled everything up, and I went ahead and I've glued it all down, and I did end up using the pastel blue chalk to color the banner as well as the music strip. And then I decided to cut off the edge of that happy birthday banner so that it just says the one flag. And I'm fidgeting again with this, and I think I really want that envelope to be there on that left side since he's opening presents. And again, I'm just kind of figuring out where I want it. I decided that I wanted it at an angle and I didn't want the flag at an angle. I wanted it to stay straight, and you can still see a little bit of that other print below, but my geotag is going to cover that up nicely. Now I'm going to place my sticker, and one side of that is black and white and the other side is blue, and I want the blue side up. So I'm going to place it over there and try and get it lined up. And like I said, I rotated that had the banner coming down towards the bottom of the circle, and I wanted it to the side to lead you back into the photos and the journaling. Now I've decided that, and again I'm placing my geotag right there to cover up that little spot. Now I've decided that my flag needs to have a black border on it. So I'm going to work on that really fast, and I end up messing it up terribly. So I used the Prima chalk, but it was just too gray. It wasn't black enough. And then I decided I wanted to come in with my StazOn ink and color it up. And then I made a huge mess out of it. Or I guess that's not StazOn, it's my archival ink. And I made this giant mess and decided that I wanted to redo everything. So since I have to redo it, now I'm going to take you along the process. I used an MFT die to die cut my flags, and then I'm using the Prima chalk in the pastel blue, and I'm just chalking that up really well. And I like that it's a really nice color for this collection. Then I just mopped up my thing. Now I do not know who makes these stamp sets because I bought it a long time ago. And then to get my black border, I've decided to go ahead and use a Sharpie to trace around the edges, and that just kind of helps to give that really fine black definition to the edge without a lot of a mess, which is what I should have done to start with, but I wasn't thinking. And you just use the very edge of the felt on the Sharpie to trace out that. I had to do it a couple times because I used a really fine Sharpie and I needed it to be a little thicker. And then now I'm going to take the stamp from the I'm not sure what stamp set this is from, but it just has this really whimsical happy birthday on it, and I'm going to use my black archival ink to stamp that down. And then since I trimmed that edge off, I just decided to go ahead and add that border back to that side as well. So just, and like I said, I really don't know who makes it because a long time ago when I bought my stamps, I didn't keep the brand. I didn't realize I was going to need it one day. But anyway, so if anybody knows, just put it down in the description of who it belongs to, and I'll try and put it in my description. So now I'm going to take this and put it up here towards the top where the it can bleed off the edge, just like the flag that's down at the bottom. It's kind of the opposite direction. I'm going to glue it flat instead of using a pop dot because I use pop dots on the back of my images. And then now I think I'm about done. I'm going to take the sequins and kind of scatter them around up at the top just to give a little bling and some little, celebratory kind of thing, pops of color. I originally put them down there at the bottom but didn't like them, so I pulled some back up here towards the top. And then just got rid of that. I wanted to offset the gold that you see from the inside of the envelope there because it just seems like it was the only thing that was bright shiny gold on the whole layout. And I'm just going to use some mono adhesive to just tack those sequins down. And it takes just a minute for it to stick, so if you use the mono, just let it sit for a little bit. And I glue them on upside down just so that they're flat. It's hard with these sequins because they're hollow on the inside. They're kind of dome shaped, so if you glue them upside down, they usually stick pretty well. And then I came back and I like to step away from it for a little bit and then come back and decide if there's anything else that needs to be added. And I added a little heart down at the bottom that's covered in gold glitter. Yes, I used loose glitter. I can't believe it. What's happening to me? And then I decided to stamp the date on that other little side over there. A tip is to use a piece of scrap paper to test your stamp before you do it to make sure it's going in the right direction. And to do an ombre effect, I stamped it really heavily at the top and then faded it down. And then now I'm using this Amy Tangerine stamp that says something sweet, and I want to stamp it right onto that Polaroid. Because he's eating cake, and I just thought it was a sweet little sentiment to put there to just kind of fill in that white space a little bit. And there we go. I think I'm finished with my layout. Like I said, I added that little gold heart. Here are the close-ups, and thank you so much for watching and sticking through this long process. I hope you've learned some things and you like it. Again, this is the Teresa Collins Memorabilia line, and if you enjoy these types of videos, please leave me comments and let me know so that I know that you guys are loving them. Anyway, thanks for watching, and don't forget to visit my blog at psychomomscrapbooks.blogspot.com for details and product lists. Thanks.